Hello, fellow diamond painting addicts, and welcome back to Diamond Painting Anonymous. I'm Daphne, and I'm here today with this week's WIP and Chat. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. WIP, W-I-P, stands for Work in Progress, and this is mine. You are welcome and encouraged to go grab whatever you are working on and work alongside while I chat. Or alternatively, you can treat this as a podcast and just listen while I chat. We are in week 3 of DP for Vets already. I can't believe how fast this event is going. And this is my second kit that I'm working on. This is another American flag. I did finish the half American, half Canadian flag. That one is currently waiting a frame because I think I'm going to frame that one and hang it up just for hubby and I. So I'm going to work on this one. Lots of stuff going on. So I'm going to rearrange a bit, zoom into where I'm going to be working, and I will be right back. Don't go anywhere. All right, let me start my timer, get my notes up here, and then I will jump in. I'm going to be working on this section down here because most of this section at the bottom is black. So it lets me do a lot of multi-placing. So I thought I would start there. And then I'll get up into the fun stuff where I actually have some colors. Okay, so timer is started. Let me jump in. So starting with my life update as usual, what's going on? Oh, we had our trip to the Cirque show. It was awesome as always, and we had such a good time. The show itself was amazing. We went, and my daughter bought us tickets for the show that we saw that was on ice a couple of years ago, and so she didn't know we were going to the show, and so she had texted me about something, and I said, you know, we're going to this show, so we're going to be out of town. And she's like, oh, will you buy me a souvenir? Because I think she got like I don't remember what we bought her last time, but anyway, she lost it. And so she wanted us to get her something. So we were out looking amongst the souvenirs and everything. I got myself a shirt, a t-shirt. It's a t-shirt hoodie, so it has a hood, but it's thin like a t-shirt. I love it. And then we got her like a little keychain that had little bits and bobs. The show was amazing. I don't always understand what's going on at the Cirque shows because a lot of times they are in foreign languages. This one was in Italian, so there was a lot of Italian speaking in it. And since I don't speak Italian, I didn't understand what they were saying. But you don't need to understand everything that they're saying to follow along. It's just a bunch of really amazing circus acts. They had a lot of high wire stuff. There was like a trapeze, but instead of having trapeze bar, it's just big burly men swinging the tiny trapeze artists. And they had the steel rings and people doing those. Of course, somebody doing hula hoops. They had jugglers. They always have aerialists. Those are always my favorite ones. They had an aerial duo at the end that was really pretty. Just a lot of fun. I love their shows, so it was amazing. We don't get out to shows like that very often. I do not like big crowds, never have, never will. So it has to be something I really want to see for me to get out and deal with all the crowds and all of that. I was kind of annoyed. We got an email from the venue before we left with all of these rules and regulations. And I get that the rules and regulations are there for people's safety, but it's just the ridiculousness is annoying sometimes. So we get this email from the venue about parking is always annoying. You know, they want you can prepay for parking so you can make sure when you get there, you know, that you can get in where you're supposed to park and where you signed up for and all of that. Because of course it's an arena in the middle of a big city, you know, downtown, and there's not a lot of parking around it. We actually really lucked out. The hotel that we were staying at didn't have its own parking, but it was right next door to a parking garage. And we thought we were going to have to pay for it because I was annoyed at the hotel because the hotel didn't like validate the parking and stuff for you. But when we went and parked, the attendant was there, said, oh no, because of the show, they were open and it was free parking. And I was like, but the arena is charging. She's like, yeah, but and they were literally 2 blocks from the arena. So we get to park right next to our hotel, and we just walked to the show, so we didn't have to worry about parking ourselves. Didn't cost us anything. It was amazing. But anyway, we'd gotten this email about, prepay if you want to park really close. It's a cashless venue, so they only it was a cashless venue, so they only took credit cards and mobile payments, it said. So don't bring your wallet or cash because you can't use it. And then it said that they had concessions through DoorDash. So if you didn't want to wait in line at the concession stand, which who wants to wait in line? Concessions through DoorDash, which I thought was ridiculous. And we were going to a matinee show, so we actually lucked out. It wasn't that busy. And I was right for someone to tell me not to worry about which side of the stage we were on. We were fine. We saw everything. It was amazing. And then the last thing we got in the email after the DoorDash was you're only allowed like a little clutch purse. Everything else has to be in a clear see-through bag, which I assume is to keep people from trying to sneak in concessions and stuff because they want to make their money on concessions. I get that, which is also annoying after I already paid, what was it? I think an additional $40 in venue fees. So in addition to my $40, they also want to make sure that I'm paying for their $4 bottles of water. Just annoying. Anyway, so I didn't end up taking my purse like I usually would. I just took my little wallet. That way I didn't have to worry about leaving it at the hotel because I couldn't take it to the show, leaving it in the car because I knew we were going to be parking in a parking garage. Minor annoyances, but the show was amazing. And I'm really glad we went. We had a good time. Even though we stayed at a different hotel than I thought we were. I thought we were staying at a hotel that we'd stayed at before. My husband apparently made arrangements to stay at a different hotel. So when we get there, I'm like, first of all, we'd never been there. So we missed like the turnoff to go into where you check in. And there's no parking for the hotel. They have like 6 little spots that are right behind the alley where the hotel is. And I'm like, first of all, I'm not parking in an alley. Second of all, there's 6 parking spots and this is like a 7-story hotel. Those are never going to be empty. So when my husband went to check in, they told him, just park on the side streets or whatever. Where we were, I didn't want to park the car someplace that we couldn't see it. Where the hotel where we were, we had a hard time falling asleep because it's the main drag through that town. And until probably 2 o'clock in the morning, all kinds of people just drag racing their cars with no mufflers up and down the street and super noisy. So I didn't want to park our car on a side street, knowing that maybe somebody wasn't going to pay attention and it would get sideswiped or whatever. Like, I'd rather park it in the parking garage. Not that it couldn't be sideswiped in the parking garage, but at least it wouldn't be out where people were drag racing up and down the street. And we lucked out with the parking being free that way, so it's all good. So we stayed in this hotel that we'd never stayed in before. We got to try out a restaurant we hadn't been to before. It had amazing food. So we ate that and we were going to bed. We check in the hotel room. They usually have complimentary bottles of water. Oh, it's only complimentary if you're part of their rewards club. Otherwise, it's $2 a bottle. I'm like, dang it, we should have stopped at a quick shop or something and got, some snacks and some water and things. My husband forgot to do it when he went to go get our dinner. We ended up going down to their little convenience store that's like in the lobby of the hotel. Still $2 for the bottle of water. I'm like, we should have just bought the ones, used the ones that were already in the hotel room. My husband got a couple bottles of pop, but it just felt like we were getting nickel and dimed. We'd eaten our dinner, gone to bed. I woke up with some horrible heartburn, and because I hadn't brought my purse, I didn't have any antacids with me. So my wonderful husband at like 4 o'clock in the morning tromps down to their little convenience store in the lobby. $4 for a roll of antacids. And he came upstairs and I'm like, thank you so much for buying that. But if that had been me, I would just been like, I'm sorry, you're just going to have to suffer for a couple of hours, prop yourself up, and I'll get you some antacids when we, I'll drive to the quick shop or something. $4 is nuts. So then when we got up in the morning, he went downstairs. He's like, I'm going to just go get breakfast at the hotel. And I had thought he wanted to go to this diner. And I said, you're sure you don't want to go? No, I don't want to just, because we were going to order it and have it delivered is what we had said. No, he decided he didn't want to do that because he didn't think it would be as good by the time it was delivered. I'm like, we're literally like 3 blocks from it. How cold can it get in 3 blocks? But he didn't want to do that, so he decided he would just go downstairs and get some food at the breakfast buffet. So he loads up a plate for himself and his coffee, and he gets some toast for me was all I wanted because my stomach was still upset. And then he said he goes to leave. Oh, breakfast is not included, so you had to pay for breakfast. So then after we ate breakfast, their coffee, the hotel coffee, was not very good. And he had seen that there was a Starbucks very near the hotel. And he's like, I thought it said it was in the hotel, but he couldn't find it. Well, it's in the same block as the hotel, and it's actually owned by the hotel, but it's not actually in the hotel. But you can get to it from the hotel without having to walk outside. So he walked over to the Starbucks and got himself a decent cup of coffee, and then he got me a little cookie and got himself a little Danish. And he comes upstairs and I'm like, so, you know, $4 for the antacids, and then we had to pay for the pop and everything that we'd bought, the pop and water, and then he had to pay for breakfast. And I'm like, I felt like we just got nickel and dimed. I don't want to stay at this hotel next time. The last one that we stayed at, you know, all that stuff, we didn't have to pay for our water. We didn't have to pay for our breakfast. It was included. And it was actually cheaper than the hotel that we stayed at. Don't always go by, oh, this one is going to be fancier, which is what I think he was doing. And it turned out to be, yeah, maybe it was fancier, but it was so much more annoying in a lot of ways. But the show was amazing, so that's what counts. So we had a lot of fun. And I got signed up for Cirque du Soleil's little notification stuff. So hopefully, if they come through again, I won't just have to depend on, oh, I happen to see it, an advertisement for it somewhere. I will get notified, and then I can buy my tickets enough in advance. Maybe I can get some of the really good tickets. Because my husband likes going to the shows as well. He really enjoys it, and so he doesn't care if we spend money on getting some nice tickets. And really, our seats weren't bad at all. We were right in the middle on one side of the stage, although there were a lot more kids there than I thought there would be. I mean, I know it was a matinee show, but I guess because most of the shows of them that I've seen have been in Vegas tend to be more adult, I guess. I mean, I guess, you know, you're a kid, you can enjoy trampolines and jugglers and high wire acts anytime, and we were at the matinee, like I said, so I'm sure that had something to do with it too, but there were just a lot more kids there than I thought. And oh my goodness, the seats at the arena, it's almost as bad as in an airplane. Like, there was literally no room. I'm very short. Like, I'm barely over 5 feet, and I didn't have any leg room. I don't know how, I mean, there was a couple sitting next to us. The guy was over 6 feet tall. He looked like he was having to accordion himself into that seat. And so, of course, there was an intermission, and anytime, I purposely got our seats as close to an aisle as I could, because every time somebody has to get through to the seats in the middle, you have to stand up because there's no room for them to walk between your knees and the seat in front of you because there isn't any room. So that part was a tad annoying, but I'm glad I got the seats where I did. We weren't quite on the aisle, so, you know, we had a decent view, but we weren't in the complete middle either because that would have been so annoying. So we enjoyed the show, had a good time. My knee has been bothering me this week. I've still managed to do our walks in the morning, but it has been bothering me. I don't know if there were a couple of days where I ate probably more bread than I should have because I know gluten bothers it. So we'll see what happens. I'm trying to get it stretched out, and like I said, I've been keeping up with our morning walk, so hopefully it will work itself out and get better. What else is going on? Well, I did manage to bug my youngest to get registered for his classes early. So he actually went out and registered the day registration opened because, you know, I told him he's getting so close to being done, he only has certain classes left, which typically means that, you know, as you get up into the higher level classes, there aren't as many people that need to take them. But he's in kind of a generic major, like he's just doing a business degree. So there's still a lot of people. And I told him, you really need to register as soon as you can so you can get the classes you want. Because that's how he ended up in this math class where he has to go in and take the quizzes because it's not all completely online, because all the completely online classes were full. And also that he ended up taking a regular math class instead of the business version of it because all the business ones were full. So he registered for his classes. It wouldn't let him register for this one that he needed for his degree. And it said to contact his advisor. So he contacts his advisor. Oh, she's out on maternity leave. And it didn't assign anybody to take over her students, which I thought was weird. So you just had to send an email. But he got a pretty prompt response. And they were able to make it so that he could sign up for that class that he needed. I don't know why it had to have advisor approval, but so he got in the one that he wanted. They're all online, so he doesn't have any hybrid courses where he has to go in and take any of the classes or anything. He was looking at it. He only needs 15 hours, we think, to graduate, and then he will be done. So I'm jumping for joy. That means we only have one more semester of tuition to pay. We're waiting to see, though. There was some mix-up a couple of semesters ago. The way it typically works, because the university that he's going to is the university that everybody in my family went to. My dad, my sister, me, my brother, we all went to this university. So I'm familiar with the university and how it works and all that kind of stuff. And so typically when you enter as a freshman, what they call their course catalog, their degree requirements are supposed to be set when you enter. So like if he entered in 2020, then whatever those degree requirements were in 2020, that follows him through for as long as it takes for him until he graduates, whether that's 4 years or 14 years. However, halfway through his degree, they changed something. And I think it's because he's in the online program. So some of the requirements changed, and some of the classes that he'd taken, which he's really frustrated about, some of the classes that he'd taken because he was told, on the first little check sheet that he had to take them. Like one was an economics course, I think. One was like a financial course, some kind of accounting course or something. And there was a third one. So he'd taken all those. But then when they did the degree, the catalog change, whatever they changed, the requirements, they did away with some classes that he needed to take, like some of the Excel and software classes that it was saying he needed to take. But the classes that he thought he had to take, some of those that I just mentioned, actually don't technically count towards his degree. They do, but they count as electives rather than counting as requirements that he had met, which is kind of 6 of one, half dozen of the other. I mean, he would have had to take those hours either way. His frustration is he could have taken something he was actually interested in instead of these ones that were requirements, because they weren't classes that he would have picked for himself. I told him, again, I constantly go back to, this is just a hoop for you to jump through. Because while I am a firm believer in education and getting his college degree, I think for a lot of people, no matter what your degree is in, that a lot of your actual education takes place when you get your first job and you learn on your job. I just want him to get done. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited that, we won't have to be paying tuition in another semester, which I'm still not for sure about that. We might end up, hopefully the majority of his classes will be done. And even if he ends up taking a summer class, it would only be 1 or perhaps 2. He's still sweating bullets about this math class that he's taking and whether or not he's going to pass it. I'm sure he'll be fine, but he's stressing it. But since he would be done with school, that just makes it even more of a reality that we're going to be moving soon. We thought we'd be leaving a lot sooner, and so I'm not sure what that means for some of our plans. We wanted to move sooner because we thought my husband's dad's health was worse than it turned out to be. So he's been okay with us kind of waiting. So we thought my son would still be a student. And so I don't know what that means for him. Now we have to find out, I don't know how insurance works up there. I know we'll be covered under the provincial health system for major things, but I also know that my husband will have supplemental insurance for for sure the two of us, and my son will still be living with us. But if he's not a student, even if he was a student, I don't really know how the insurance works up there. And if he's not working, I don't know what that means, if he can buy like his own policy, even if he doesn't have a job, or if that's something that only gets offered through an employer or whatever. I don't know. We'll see. I want him to get a job, but I don't know that he's going to, well, I don't know what he's going to do. You know, when we originally planned to move up there, in his mind, I think he thought we were just going to be there for a couple of years and then we would be heading back to the States. Maybe we will. I don't know. I don't think so. And he wants to go, but I don't think he's really thought through, you know, starting a career in Canada, and then if he decides to come back here, what that kind of means. So we'll just have to see. I'm trying to be very go with the flow about the whole thing, which admittedly is really hard for me because I am a planner and I am a very anxious person. I like to know what's going on. I like to have a plan in place. So I'm trying to just let it go and let it be what it will be. There's so many things I can't control. I know that. That doesn't keep me from being anxious about it, but anyway, all that to say that that has just really brought it home even more that I need to get busy kind of going through our house and figuring out what we want to take, what we want to keep, what we want to get rid of. I've got some more things that I think I'm going to be offering to my siblings to see if they want, that are kind of family items, but not things that I want to haul all the way to Canada. We still have stuff to get rid of. We haven't got rid of our record collection yet. My husband and I have talked about having like an estate sale, but I don't really know what all that entails. If we want to do that, I don't know how that would work if we were still living in the house. And so we're trying to figure out the logistics of, do we all go up to Canada at once? Does my husband just take like a couple month leave of absence from his job here? We get moved. He comes back down here and works for a little bit, sells the house, finishes up everything, and then he comes up with us. Do we do the opposite and he goes up there and starts working and we stay here and finish up the job or the house and everything? Just lots of things we haven't figured out yet. And I only have about 6 months to do them now, so that means I need to get busy. All right, let me change colors here. I was going to move this around so I could do some more black, but I think I'll just change colors and finish some of the other color here. Hubby and I were actually talking about that the other day. He's been watching all the stuff going on in Iceland. They've got the volcano that they think is about to erupt that's going to take out this one particular town. And I guess he was watching a video of, it's a guy whose parents live in this little town, Grindavik. And he was going back in with his parents who lived in the town. And they had, I think they said, an hour to pick up stuff. And this was them getting to go back in. So when they were first told, they thought the eruption was imminent. I guess they were only given like an hour to pack up essentials and get out. And so my husband and I were talking about, if we only had an hour, what would we grab? What would be the first things that we had to grab? And I'm pretty organized. So a lot of our essential papers are in fire safe. So we would for sure grab that. Papers that aren't in the fire safe are in my file cabinet. So there's a couple of files that I would want to grab with paperwork that I would want to have copies of. All of my personal photos have been scanned into a hard drive. So they're on a portable hard drive. So I was like, I would at the very least grab the hard drive if I didn't have time. I'm trying to make a list in my head. What would I grab first? So fire safe, paperwork, which includes, I've got a box full of all of our paperwork from Canada, so definitely would grab that. My portable hard drive, because that's got like all of my family photos and the kids' photos and all that stuff on it, so definitely would grab that. You know, purses, clothing for a few nights, because you wouldn't know at that point how long you were going to be gone for. So I was talking about all those things, and I know right where they all are, so it wouldn't take any time to grab them. And I said, after that, like if we came back in and we got another hour, what things would I get? Most of my keepsakes are in my cedar chest, so I would want to grab that. I have stuff stacked on top of it, but you know, if you're in a hurry, that can all just get shoved in the floor. I'm not going to worry about like minis I've painted and whatever, the stuff that's on it could get shoved in the floor, grab the cedar chest and what's in it, get it out. Electronics, of course, phones, iPads, we probably would have grabbed the first go round. So computers, if we have time to grab them. And then after that, what will we grab? We don't have any animals. That was the thing that got me. We were watching that thing about Iceland. People were able to grab some pets, you know, like if you had a house pet or something, but not everybody was able to. So there were house pets that were left that people came in and they've gotten farmed out to shelters. But then there were people who had like big livestock animals like horses and sheep and things, and they just had to leave those behind. So when they were able to go back in, people were able to make arrangements to get those animals out as well. So that was good. But it really makes you stop and think, what, if you had limited time, what would you do? What would you grab? And then of course, my husband's like, what about your diamond paintings? Yeah, if we had time, I might grab some of those, but those wouldn't be my priority. We did our shopping for Thanksgiving. My husband was actually sick this week, so he was off several days. And then they had another outage where they were supposed to work late, but because he was sick, he didn't do that. So the next day they didn't work, so he had an extra day off. So we went and did our grocery shopping, which was good because we kind of beat everyone else doing their holiday shopping. And we're not hosting Thanksgiving, but we do want to have we're going to do Thanksgiving at my sister's on Thursday, but then we're going to have kind of a second Thanksgiving meal with just me and my husband and my son. Maybe my daughter if she wants to come over, but I don't know if she will. And do our own kind of little Thanksgiving with turkey and all the fixings. So we decided that instead of doing pickup like we usually do, we would actually go in, because I wanted to look at, my sister wants me to bring the pies. So I was like, I need to pick up some stuff for making the pies because I couldn't remember if I had it on hand or not. So I said, let's actually go inside so I can kind of look around. And plus I wanted to buy some fresh produce and stuff, and I wanted to be the one that picked it out, that kind of thing. We go in, and we had already put stuff in our app to do pickup. And our grocery bill was sitting at like $190. So I said, well, let's just go in, we'll pick up what we need. So I take my husband with me. And after $100 added to our cart, because hubby was, ooh, I've never seen this, I want to try this, that he added into our cart, I remembered why we do pickup. I mean, we can afford it, so it's not a huge deal, but half the time it ends up being stuff he doesn't like and we're never going to buy again. So why do we need to spend all that extra money on it? But I shouldn't complain. Like I said, we can afford it, and he doesn't complain when I buy diamond paintings, so I guess that makes him happy. And to be fair, he has a lot of trouble sometimes finding snacky things that are things that he can have because of his diabetes. So, but yeah, definitely we'll be doing pickup next week instead of me taking him in the store. And that's even with me, like I learned very on in our relationship, if I stop and just let him look, he'll never move on. Like he will literally look at every single thing on the shelf. So I have gotten to the point where when he starts looking at something, I just move on. I have a list. I'm one of those people. I go in. Occasionally, I may buy something that's not on my list, but pretty generally, I go down the aisles. I know what aisles I need to hit. I've got everything on my list. I'm done. I'm out. And he is very much not like that. So I learned very early on, if I just move on, eventually he notices that I'm not there anymore. And then by then I've usually done a couple of aisles. So he'll at least skip an aisle because he'll catch up with me. So, and even though we were shopping early, there were still quite a few people there picking up stuff for turkey dinners and things. I'm actually kind of glad we're not doing Thanksgiving this year. We'll do something on Christmas. My son was asking me, since we're doing Christmas at our house, are we going to just buy takeout or whatever? Because that's what my sister usually does. And I said, no, we'll probably actually cook. Probably. But we'll see. Maybe we'll change our mind. We'll see. Like I said, I'm on pie duty, so I'm going to be baking pies Wednesday night and Thursday morning. And my son is too. My sister actually requested, my son likes to make apple pies. I don't like fruit pies. I don't like cooked fruit. Although we did have an argument over that because my son was telling me that pumpkin is a fruit. I had to look it up because I didn't believe him, but it actually is. So I guess I have to say I don't like most cooked fruit. I do like pumpkin pie, but my son does not. So we typically have pumpkin pie and chocolate pie because that was my dad's favorite, and my brother really likes chocolate pie, so we always have a chocolate pie. And then the last couple of holidays, my son has gotten into baking. He took a home ec class and he really likes baking, and he makes his crust from scratch. I'm not that fancy. I buy pre-made frozen crusts, but he likes to make it from scratch. Also, I've never had any luck doing that. I've tried making crust from scratch and it never works out for me. He makes his own crusts and he makes the fancy lattice tops and all that. So my sister requested apple pie, and so he's going to be making apple pie, and he's going to make two. My sister's husband also is diabetic, and so he wants to make one with the Swerve sugar, because that way I actually have the Swerve brown sugar and the regular like white sugar substitute. So he's going to make it with that, so he can make a pie that they can eat without having to worry about the sugar in it. I mean, there's still some sugar with the apples, but it won't be as much as if he'd made it with the actual refined sugar and brown sugar. So he's going to make two apple pies. So he'll be baking on Thursday as well. He cracks me up. He's actually really enjoying, he has started cooking for himself, and he enjoys it. My husband enjoys it too because he likes spicy stuff just like my husband, so he'll make something too spicy for me to eat, but my husband will eat it. So okay, I think that's everything that I wanted to talk about for my life update. So let's get into my diamond painting update. Okay, diamond painting update. I did my first stay or go video. You guys, everyone seemed to really like that one, so I'm happy about that because I definitely am going to be making that a series. I already had, before I made that first video, I already had 5 or 6 kits picked out that I'm not sure if I want to keep or not. And that's in addition to, I have 2 or 3 kits that I know I don't want to keep, so those aren't going to be part of the video series. But there are 3 or 4 that I had kind of earmarked for, I'm not sure. So you'll be seeing more of those. But thank you to everybody that commented. I have actually decided that I'm going to keep the Notre Dame Night. Now, I hadn't intended to keep it, like I said, when I initially did the video. But after opening it and looking at it, like I said in the video, it does tick a lot of my boxes. Yes, it is big, and yes, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it, but as someone pointed out, if I had to have an end destination for every diamond painting I bought, I would only own like 4 diamond paintings. I need to remember that a lot of the enjoyment that I get out of it is not the final destination, it's the actual working of the project. So even if I don't have a destination for it, I still enjoy it. I had several people who had ideas for things that they do with their finished diamond paintings. Of course, gifting it to friends is always an option, seeing if there were, and I mean specifically finished ones here, gifting it to people, seeing if there was somebody who wanted it so they could hang it up, donating it someplace. There are tons of options. Somebody mentioned selling them on Etsy. Somebody mentioned selling them in like a consignment shop, framing them on, as inexpensively as you could, and then selling them in a consignment shop. There's lots of options. So obviously I need to look into some of those. But for that particular kit, after looking at it, it does check a lot of boxes for things that I enjoy about kits. So I'm going to keep it. No idea when I'll get to it. No idea when I'll finish it. But I will enjoy doing it once I get to it. So I'm going to hang on to it for that reason. So be looking. There will be another one of those coming out. Hopefully next month. I don't know exactly when yet. My schedule is something I need to go back over. That's the weird thing about YouTube. I set my schedule, and then of course something else comes along. An opportunity to do a PR review or a sneak peek or something like that, and so I have to rearrange things, or something else happens and something didn't arrive when I thought, or just life, and so I need to change things around. But I will be planning on doing another one. The other thing is, so many people telling me to hang on to it because it would be so expensive to buy it once we moved to Canada. And I gotta say, I'm still not sure I completely agree with it, although I see where people are coming from. So I did actually go to the Canadian website for a couple of diamond painting places. And yes, the prices are, gosh, I want to say anywhere from $25 to $40 a kit higher. Now that's just saying dollars. That doesn't take into account the exchange rate. So for instance, one of the kits I looked at, I think was $69.99 US, but on the Canadian website was like $114. That doesn't include sales tax, so that can't be the difference. Those are, sales tax gets added on depending on where you live. Now, you do get free shipping with a couple of places that I looked at. It's more in Canadian dollars, but even after accounting for the exchange rate, it still was about $7 or so more than you would need to buy here in the States to get free shipping. And I don't know if that is also a factor of postage costs more in other places. That could be part of it as well. I mean, that there's no way to account for all of those differences. But also, I'm hearing from people that a lot of the bigger companies include customs and duties, import fees in the price, which could be why it's the roughly, $25 to $40 more per kit. Although that seems like a lot for custom duties. I tried to look up what the import fees would be in Canada. You can go to the government websites, and they had like a list of all of the different categories for importing things, whether it was a textile, whether it was a vehicle, whether it was a toy, but they only had about, 12 or so categories. And I couldn't figure out where diamond paintings would fall because it's not a toy. And I mean, once you pick toy, then it gave you a subsection list, and it had like figurines, and diamond paintings didn't seem to fit any of that. The only other thing I thought would apply was home furnishings. And when you got to that, it was like clothing or textiles. They did actually have a section for like crochet and knit specifically, but nothing for, I don't know, maybe I guess if it fell under artworks or something, but I felt like that was more like actual painted artworks. Maybe it's not. Maybe that's what it would fall under, but I couldn't figure it out, and it was very confusing. And so I was like, I'm assuming that probably accounts for the biggest difference in pricing when you're talking about buying in the US versus buying from Canada from some of the larger companies. So I don't know what I'm going to do. Yes, it seems more expensive. I've had so many people tell me that things are cheaper in America. And I said to my husband, is that just a Canadian perception? Because in some of the stuff that we've looked at, yes, things are more expensive. Certainly gas is more expensive in Canada, but a lot of times we'll be talking on our visits with my mother-in-law, and she'll be complaining about the price of food and how everything is so much cheaper in America. And having looked at some of the prices of Canadian food, even with taxes and the exchange rate figured in, it's not that much more expensive than America. And some things are just cheaper. So I think sometimes some of it is perception, because things have been more expensive in Canada. Like my husband was telling me, if you buy a book, and I can remember seeing on the back of book covers, one price in Canadian and one price in American, and the Canadian price was always more. But also you have to factor in the exchange rate. Not to say that that's the only thing that would make it more expensive, but I feel like sometimes people just compare dollars to dollars, and that's not accurate because, for instance, I was looking at buying some kits from a company in the UK. Well, in UK prices, so it's priced in, I guess, pounds now, because they're not using euros in the UK. But the pound is worth more than my American dollar. So if it's a kit that's 114 pounds, it's already going to be more than that for me because my dollar doesn't buy pound for pound. And then I have to pay for shipping and everything on top of it. So I get it. And then I had someone tell me that they keep a PO box or some kind of address in the States, basically, for just such a situation. And they'll order it as if they were in the States, and then they just drive across the border and get it that way. And if you live close enough to the border, you can do that. We're only going to be about 6 hours away from the border in Maine. I don't know for sure what we're going to do, but I am for sure going to keep the Notre Dame kit. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell if you want to be notified about the next Stay or Go video, because like I said, I do have at least 5 kits that will be included in that series, and I may have more. I may, no telling if I get caught up in the Black Friday buying frenzy and end up buying some kits that I don't really want to try and round out my cart, especially if some of the Black Friday sales are buy one, get one. That's how I end up with a lot of these kits that I'm not sure whether I want to keep or not. So there's that. You guys, I finally finished the revamp of my logbook for next year. I didn't really need to revamp it. I decided to do it because I wanted to have something different for 2024. I like being able to go back, like I keep my logbooks. So I might not keep all the paintings, but I can go back to my logbook and look at what paintings did I complete, how many did I complete, how long did everything take me, all that kind of stuff. So just a nice little reminder. I don't know if they'll survive packing for Canada. I might just keep last year's and get rid of the previous ones. I wanted to revamp it so that I had something a little bit different for 2024. So what I did this year, because last year was kind of a lot of flourishes and fancy borders and details and things like that, scripty font, I decided this year I would just kind of strip it down. And I will show you at the end when I'm not so zoomed up, I'll show you what it looks like. So I have that version and I will put that one up. The old versions will stay up on my shared Google Drive with all the other files. So if you have a version that you like if you like last year's and you want to keep using it, feel free. But if you wanted something kind of more stripped down, I've got that. I will be uploading that so people can have access to that one as well. And I did add an event page to kind of, for people who like to do event planning. I'm going to try and do some event planning this year. I say event planning. I basically have gone through and kind of picked out at least one, for some months, a couple of kits that I want to do. And then I'm basically going to see, as I go through my listing of events, if I can find kits that will fit a theme, and then I can do that kit that month, and that's just that extra little bit of motivation for me to get things finished. I don't know how that's going to work out, because I don't know if I'll have a kit that fits every theme, but we'll see. And also, when I went to the Diamond Painting event group on Facebook, she only has events for next year listed, I think, until March. So hopefully those will be getting updated all the way through the end of the year here shortly. And then Mr. and Mrs. Dubé on Instagram, I also use their spreadsheet, but theirs is not completely filled out. There's not a ton of events on it yet either. So hopefully once all of those get updated, I'll be able to do a little bit of a better job. But a lot of people do a lot more events than I do, so I did add that page in there so that you could look at that one. The other thing that I did with the logbook is I wanted, for me personally, kind of a retro 60s vibe for it, and I will show you this one as well. And you'll have to let me know if you guys like it and if you want it. I didn't know whether anybody would be interested in this one. I just wanted it for myself. It was a lot of fun kind of little details that I added. So it's kind of like the plain version, but with some retro details added in. So I will show you guys that at the end as well, and you guys can let me know if you like that one or the plain one. The plain one will for sure be going up on my shared files, but the retro one I printed out because that's the one that I personally am going to be using. I don't know, I always find it easier to design something if it's not for mass consumption. With the retro one, I was like, well, I'm just making this for me, so I'm just going to do things that I would like. And then if it ends up being stuff that other people like as well, bonus. Somehow that lets me be a little more free with my choices, I guess, because I feel like I'm just designing it for me and I like it. So yeah, if other people like it, then that's just bonus. So I finally got that done. I sat down and just took kind of the morning to go through and revamp it the way I wanted. And I hopefully have it now in a format that will be easier for me to redo it each year if I want to, because I probably will, honestly. Also, I was going to try and fill out my stash pages because, of course, I think I'm done with all the kits that I'm going to be doing for the rest of this year. Maybe I'll open one and work on one that I hadn't planned on working on through the end of this year, but I don't know if I'll finish anything else. So I was going to go ahead and do my stash pages, but then I thought, well, maybe I should wait and see what it's going to look like after Black Friday, because Black Friday sales are coming up, right? I want to wrap up the kits I know I want to work on, which is this one, my Oraloa, and my Diamond Art Club one. I definitely want to finish those. If you saw the video from yesterday, I now have a Crafties that I may want to finish before the end of the year. I don't think I'm going to open anything else. Well, I might open some other things, but I don't have anything else that I'm planning on trying to finish by the end of this year, if that makes sense. But you never know. I'm eagerly awaiting the Black Friday sales and hoping that there's going to be something that I want to get. I want to buy a bunch of kits on Black Friday, but we'll see. I don't know if I'm going to end up buying a bunch of kits from like Diamond Art Club, Dreamer Design, some of the bigger places, or if I'm going to end up spending the rest of my budget on some kind of one-off companies that I've never tried before. I've been out looking at companies that I've just learned about in the last, oh gosh, I don't know, probably couple of months. So I've been looking at those to see what I want to do. The hard thing about that as well is my default, they get me with the free shipping every time. You know, I was looking at this one place and I've never bought kits from them before, so I don't really know what it's going to be like. But, you know, it's like free shipping. Oh, this kit is on sale, but then I need to buy another kit. Oh, that doesn't quite get me to free shipping. I need to buy something else. And I just get sucked into all of these. And it's like, shipping is going to be what? For me, if it's a place that's in the States, $10 to $15, is that worth spending another 60, 70, 80 or more just so I can get free shipping? It isn't. So sometimes I have to remember to kind of talk myself out of, okay, I don't need everything. I just, especially if it's someplace I've never bought from before, how do I even know if I like the kits? Do I really want to invest, you know, $100+ in a couple of kits when I'm not even sure if I'm going to like one of them? So I've got at least 3 places that I've never purchased from before. I've gone through, I've looked at kits, I've picked out some kits that I want. They are sitting as open tabs in my browsers until Black Friday to see if I want. Actually, I started keeping a spreadsheet too. I went through not only places that I'd never bought from before, but like Diamond Art Club and some of the bigger ones to see, is there something out currently that I would want to get. Some places are having just a sale where it's a percentage off. I've seen a couple of those already, and I've tried to make note of those so I remember to use points if I have them, and I remember to use discount codes because then my money goes farther. So I'm trying to keep track of that. Also trying to make a note of, you know, do some of these big places that I would normally shop have any kits that I would want? The trick with that is I don't know if some of those places, the kits that are not new releases, if those will be included in the sale, because I'm betting that some of them won't be. So for instance, maybe I looked at Diamond Art Club and there's some kits that were new releases but are not now that I would want. I wait until Black Friday, but only the new Black Friday releases are included in their Black Friday sale. Does it really matter that I wanted these other kits because I can't get them at a sale price anyway? And I don't know the answer on every company for all of that yet. So yeah, I tried to, nerdy me, tried to make a spreadsheet of, here are some things I want to get from each particular company. Here are sales. Here are places where I have points to try and make my money go as far as it can. So super excited for those. So finish the logbook, getting excited for Black Friday, still working away to try and wrap up 2023. I am over halfway done with the Oraloa kit that I'm working on, so that's good. I am still working on this one, not quite to the halfway point with this one, but this one won't take me nearly as long. There is quite a bit of multi-placing still in this one, so hopefully I'll be making some good progress with this one over the next week or so. I've been focusing on the Oraloa one because it's bigger, but still working on this one. Super excited to see everybody that has been posting progress and or finish photos for kits that they're working on for the DP for Vets event. I think it's amazing. I'm so happy with all the people that have participated. And again, a huge thank you to our sponsors. Our sponsors are Bella Art Diamonds, which is a veteran-owned business, Butterfly Effect Wares, which is also a veteran-owned business, and then Art Dot and Creations Marin. So all of those have items that will be included in the final prize package. Huge thank you to them. I will put links to all of their stores down in the description box, so if you haven't checked them out before, go check them out. They all have amazing stuff. I think some of them are gearing up for Black Friday sales as well. I know Bella Art has had a couple of things out there about Black Friday. I don't know if that's on the Bella Art Diamond side or the Bella Art Dana Cole side or both, but go check them out. Would love to have you guys support them because they have been amazing at supporting us in this event. I did make my donations this year. Let me grab my receipt. So this is going to be a little up close and personal. Sorry about that, but I donated $100 to the Intrepid Fallen Heroes Fund. Now, a little bit of explanation about that. I was going to donate to the same place that I donated to last year, which is a place called Operation Supply Drop. And I went to go make a donation through them, and the website now redirects you to the USO. Nothing wrong with the USO, but I just didn't want to donate money there. I guess Operation Supply Drop is no longer a charity. I don't know if they closed. I don't know if they somehow got absorbed by the USO. I don't know. So I always go to, there is a website you can go to that basically rates charities, because if I'm going to donate money, I want the money that I donate to go to the charity, not to overhead. Because some of the bigger charities, you'd be amazed that you donate a certain dollar amount expecting that all of that money is going to go to the charity, and instead way more of your dollar ends up going to overhead for salaries and administrative stuff than actually goes to the people who need it. So I go out to this charity rating place, and it will rate how much of your dollar, for each dollar that you donate, how much of that actually goes to charitable contributions and them doing things for people rather than overhead. And they had top 3 listed. I don't remember what the top one was. I didn't do that one because of your dollar, over 25 cents of your dollar went to overhead. And that just feels like administrative bloat to me. They had one that was one for people who had lost service members, but this one I felt better about. Not only 95% of my dollar, so 95 cents out of every dollar I donate is going to go to the charity, the people they help. Only 5 cents for overhead. And they also rate how much does it cost them to raise money, because that's the other thing for me. So many of these charities, and I get stuff in the mail all the time from like Doctors Without Borders and Habitat for Humanity, and they're great charities. But I often think to myself, because they'll include like a free tote bag or free pen or free flashlight. Like, don't mail me junk. How much junk are you sending out that's also costing you postage? I feel like they're wasting charity money. Do you know what I mean? That could go to something else. So I didn't choose that charity. I chose the Intrepid Fallen Heroes one because not only do they give more of my dollars to the people who they're helping, but this one specifically is a charity that helps veterans who have suffered either a traumatic brain injury while they were serving or people who are suffering from PTSD. I'll get off my soapbox. That's where I donated my money. If you are donating money, a huge thank you to you. If you have a local organization that you would like to donate to, a local military organization, please do that. It is not a requirement that you donate in order to be eligible for the event or anything. I just am appreciative of anybody that donates to a military organization, charitable organization. Black Friday sales. I've tried to resist, although like I said, I got to be honest, I've bought a couple of kits, but I'm really hoping there's going to be, oh my gosh, I have to have that kits for me in Black Friday. The last probably 3 or 4 weeks of new releases have not had any I really want that kits for me. I bought 2 kits from Diamond Art Club. One was a new release, and I've mentioned that to you guys. It was the Christmas seashells one, where it's basically all these shells and things that have washed up from the ocean, but it looks like a Christmas tree laying on the sand. So I got that one. It's huge. I should have paid more attention to the size, but my husband really likes it. So that may be one that gets framed and actually hung in our house. And then I've seen a kit by this artist. I think the name of it was Luna. And I'm not typically a cat person. I'm allergic to cats, just not typically a cat person, but I really like her style of art. And I had seen the Luna one, but it had been out of stock for a long time. But I came across another one of hers that was called Kindred Spirits, and I really liked it. It's 2 cats. The Luna one was a little bit too much black. I thought it was going to be too much black for me, so I didn't get that one. The Kindred Spirits one has enough other colors in it that I thought I would be okay with that, so I got that one. So I did spend some money buying those. But I have a bunch of points saved up at Diamond Art Club, crossing my fingers that there's going to be some kits. That's the other thing. I bet I'm not going to be able to use my points on Black Friday sales. I bet I can only use the Black Friday discount code. So maybe I'll go back. If there's nothing on Black Friday that I really want, maybe I'll go back and use some of my points that I've been saving up, but we'll see. And that goes with a couple of other places. I have points at Dreamer Designs I've never used. I think I have points at Oraloa. I don't know. I've got to go back and look. I'm still making my spreadsheet, but anyway. I think that's it for me today, guys. So let me zoom out. Then I'm going to share with you the logbook. I'm going to do the drawing for this week's weekly winner. Don't go anywhere. Okay, so you can see I made a little bit of progress. I didn't get as much done maybe as I wanted to, but also I was talking, and apparently I can't talk without my hands, so I'm doing all of this off camera where you guys can't see. Let me zoom out a little bit more because so first I want to show you, here's the stripped down logbook. So just the cover page. The font is very simple. It's just kind of a very plain Jane. These are the 2 pages of the actual logbook. Now, because this font is a little bit smaller, I was able to make where the image goes a little bit bigger. That's going to be good for me. Hopefully that's going to be good for you guys. All of the stuff to track your time. And then this table is a little bit bigger, I think, than the tables I've used before, but I think there's still plenty of room to write. So you've got room for your diamond painting stash. There's a diamond painting wish list, your finishes. I redid my tracker, but I kept it. This is from my bullet journal days, and I love having this. If you don't like it, you know, these pages you can print or not, up to you. If you want to do any future planning for events that might be coming up, and then for me personally, I try to keep track of if people send me, you know, product review kits and things that I need to get done. Okay, so that's the plain Jane logbook. For me personally, I added a bunch of these like little retro elements. So I've got, everything's a little bit of a different color. I've got some of these retro elements on all the pages, but it's all the same pages. So, and everything else is the same. I've just added, like I said, these little retro things. I don't put anything on, or I try not to anyway, put anything on this margin, because this is meant to be used with a disc system, and that's where you're going to have all of your little hole punches. So like in this one, you can see I've already hole punched it. So I tried to keep the left margin pretty clean for that reason. And then the wish list, and then here you can see I've added just some of these little retro elements to the diamond painting log. I've already printed mine double-sided. This one, I do have some elements, but I think they'll be okay. They won't get cut off in the hole punching, but we'll see. And I printed several of these for me. I probably shouldn't have done that because I'm going to print them. But anyway, I have started doing, like I said, I think I said this in another video, I've started doing what Jess does, and I will just go in on the computer and put in my image here rather than printing out a sticker for some of them, especially ones that don't come with logbook stickers. So they'll get used eventually though. So finishes, and I print multiple pages for me because I know I'm going to finish more than just one page. My tracker, again, double pages because I'm going to be printing more than that. So yeah, just these little retro elements that I thought were fun. You guys let me know what you think. Okay, so there's the diamond painting tracker. And I already shared with you my receipt for my donation. Again, thank you to everybody who donates to your local charity to help out veterans. Anything that you can do is appreciated. Not required, but appreciated. Okay, and then the last thing is this week's prize drawing, right? Okay, let me get my little app open here. Now, if you win, you are taken out of the weekly prizes. So my first 2 winners, I have removed them from the wheel. And anybody, I just checked before I started filming, so I am up to date with anybody who's added themselves in. You can do multiple kits. That gets you multiple entries in these weekly drawings. You still only get 1 entry in the final prize drawing, so keep that in mind. And the exit form is open. I will stick links in the description box down below to both the entry and exit forms. There will be 1 more weekly drawing, so if you haven't filled out the entry form, make sure that you do that to get in next week's drawing. Also make sure that you have filled out both of them, because I need you to have filled out both forms to be eligible for the final prize drawing, and you need a finished picture. I don't require a start picture, but you do need a finished picture. Make sure, I think it says on the form, but I think it has to be like under 10 megabytes or something. So JPEGs usually work best to upload to the form. I've already got some people's finished photos. Oh, so many amazing kits out there. I can't wait to do the video montage to show everybody all the finishes. Okay, that's it. Let's do the drawing. Here we go. Here's the wheel. I'm trying to hold it not quite so close, because I think when I do that, I hold it close thinking it's going to be in focus, and then it ends up being less in focus. So hopefully this is in focus. Let's see who our winner this week is. Our winner this week is Gaylyn. Congratulations, Gaylyn. Make sure you send me an email, diamondpaintinganonymous@gmail.com, so that I can get your mailing information. Again, congratulations, Gaylyn. If you didn't win, don't be discouraged. There's still 1 more drawing. Guys, I'm so excited. I'm so happy. I'm so super excited for all the sponsors. I'm so just grateful for everyone who watches the channel, participates in the events. I hope you guys are having as much fun as I am. That's it for me today, guys. Thanks so much for sticking around till the end of the video. Before you leave, don't forget to do all the things. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification icon so that you can be informed of future uploads. And as always, guys, thanks so much for watching.